So this video was going to be a review of a game that I am frankly enjoying the hell out of, but there's so much I want to talk about in this genre of games that frankly is going to end up being a rant, and I just can't help myself. So, before I get off on a tangent, I want to say Story of Seasons, Pioneer of Olive Town is one of the best farming sim type games I have played on a console ever. And I have a lot of these games. I've got old Harvest Moon games on the PS1 and PS2, Stardew Valley, Rune Factory series. I've got several of these. And this one is one of the best ones, and I'll tell you why. It's the pacing. It keeps you busy, it gives you lots to do, lots more than you could possibly do within a day and night cycle that you have. Now, I think a lot of people play these games, the way it's structured is you have a day and night cycle and you have to sleep in order to maintain your energy, which I do find annoying. Because it kind of breaks the flow of the game, and it kind of makes you want to play it for one day at a time, or maybe 2 days at a time. So the day and night cycle, the day period lasts for about 20 minutes or so, give or take, in real time. It counts down basically a minute per second sort of thing. So you gotta get up in the morning, you gotta run around and water your crops, and do all your crafting things, and break up some rocks, cut down some trees, do whatever you need to do to get crafting materials together, and you've got to run into town and buy supplies and check on your missions and things like that. So it is a fairly fast-paced game, and I really like that because with a lot of older, particularly Harvest Moon games, you would run out of things to do early on in the game because you didn't have very much unlocked. You'd have one or two crops that you could grow, and that's another problem that I really don't like with console farming games. Now, let me go back to the beginning for me with farming games. I started my farming game passion with Farmville on Facebook. I know, it's a meme that 50-year-old ladies play Farmville, and it's true. But Farmville was a fantastic game that kept you engaged all the time. Sure, there was microtransactions, and there was the sharing thing on Facebook, which, really drove people crazy because people would be asking for you to engage on their farm all the time and just flooding people's Facebook feeds with all these game requests and stuff. But there was a kernel of something that was really awesome in Farmville, and later in a lot of Farmville clones like Klondike and Happy Acres and Teonga, the Island Farm, and there was so many different farming games that I played for hundreds of hours on Facebook, just with my morning coffee or before bed for a little bit. Sure, I played other games too, but I really love that aspect of that idle mechanic of being able to go away from your farm. You come in, you harvest your crops, you plant some new ones, maybe you've got your little manufacturing facilities crafting some stuff, and then you go away. You go about your day, you turn it off, and you come back 3 or 4 hours later, and guess what? Your crops are ready to harvest, and all of the things that you were crafting are done that took maybe an hour or two of real time, and it was absolutely fantastic and engaging, and it brought you back day after day, month after month, year after year. And everybody knows that I am a fan of Animal Crossing. I played the heck out of Animal Crossing when it came out last year, but I kind of came to the end of my enjoyment with this game because I'm not really into the terraforming and the decorating. I don't really care what my island looks like. I know that's kind of the whole point of the game, but for me, as soon as I got KK Slider onto my island, and I finished that kind of chain of quests and objectives, it kind of left me feeling adrift without a sail. Sure, I can go around and harvest my trees and catch fish and whatever, but there's not really any point because I've got my island leveled up to the level that it needs to be. I don't have any friends online that I play Animal Crossing with that can come to see my island or see what I've done with it, so I don't really care what my island looks like, so I'm basically done with that game now. And that's a big problem with a lot of these farming games too. They don't have enough substance in the way of quests and story and objectives. You basically just have busy work, and it's tied to this accelerated clock. So you've got 20 minutes or so to do everything that you need to do on your farm before you have to go back to your house and go to bed and start another day. So you basically feel like, okay, I've gone to bed, I might as well save the game and move on, because all I'm going to do is get up tomorrow and do this busy work all over again. So while I really enjoy this game, and I really enjoy the busy work, I like the idea of clearing out my island and discovering new fish and discovering new plants and adding things to the general store, and there's a lot to love here. There's a lot to love in a lot of these farming games, but this ends up being a rant for me because I know that this could be so much better if it just had idle mechanics. I've been talking to indie game developers over the last little while, just, wishing that I could work with someone on a project to bring a Farmville style of game to consoles. I would absolutely love to play something like that on my Switch. I've even campaigned on Twitter for them to just port Farmville to the Switch. All they would have to do is take out all those Facebook sharing mechanics and make a way for you to acquire those products that you had to request things for, somehow in the game. But, absolutely. If you have not played a farming sim game, or if you have been curious about Story of Seasons, this is a really charming game. The graphics are very cute. There's tons of different plants and trees and grass and rocks and minerals and so many different things for you to discover and explore. But I've been playing this game now for about 20 hours, and at the 20-hour mark, I'm about 2/3 of the way done with unlocking everything major that needs to be unlocked in terms of upgrading my farm, unlocking the more powerful tools and things of that nature. You have to upgrade your tools from iron to silver to gold, etc. And I've got most of that done, or 3/4 of it done, and you have to open up different sections of your farm and repair different buildings. And I've got my chicken coop done, and I've got my barn done, and I've got my stable done, and I'm working on a couple of other things like beehives and stuff like that. But it's basically just the whole game is an endless, gathering and crafting and gathering and crafting. And that's great, because I really like games with busy work that keep me busy, that I can have with my morning coffee, where it's, zero stress, zero pressure, just run around chopping down trees. If that's something you're interested in, this game will definitely be for you, because it is far and above quite a bit better than most of the competition. Now, arguably, Stardew Valley is a little bit more complex, but I'm not really a fan of the particular graphic style. I like the 8-bit stuff, but I don't really like the color palette in Stardew Valley. It's just kind of not my thing. This is very colorful, very cute. There are little, cutscenes of story and stuff like that. You get to run around in the village and talk to people. You eventually build relationships and get married to somebody, which I find is, really cute, but also pretty common to even games like Rune Factory, for example. This is a great game too, by the way. But they're all of these console farming games are like 1% different than each other. So maybe a graphical style, whatever, but they're all basically the same setup, the same procedure. Some are a little more fast-paced than others, and I do have to say that Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, is the most fast-paced so far in the early game, which I really love, because I really hate, you've got that 20 minutes, and you've got an energy system where, you cut down a few trees, break a few rocks, you're out of energy. You can't really do anything else for the rest of the day but kind of wander around your farm until the clock runs out. That is not the case, and that has never been the case for this game from the very first minute that I played it. It's kept me busy and busy and busy, which I do love. So I would give this game, when compared to other games in its genre on consoles, I would give this game a solid 8. Not only is it great the way it is, but the DLC, which is coming out, is going to fix a lot of problems. It's going to add a lot more story. There's quite a bit of value here. Now, I would not recommend that you buy this special edition, because there is virtually nothing in here that is really worth anything. The regular version is pretty cheap. You can get it for about 40 or 50 bucks, I think, is the retail price. This, I paid the same price as a full AAA game, $69.99 here in Canada. And basically all it comes with is a stuffy of a buffalo and like a cloth map or a cloth picture, which, you know, just not, for me. When I buy a special edition, I want to see soundtracks, art books, maybe a figurine, like a nice-looking figurine or something. You know, throwing in a stuffy the size of a computer mouse and a cloth map just seems kind of not my cup of tea. So I would definitely recommend buying the regular version of this game and then spending the extra money on the DLC package, because the DLC package is actually pretty darn good. Anyways, guys, I don't know what you think of farming games in general. If they're not your thing, if you've fallen in love with Stardew Valley and you've spent hundreds of hours with Stardew Valley and you're looking for something new, this is definitely the best modern farming game that you could get. I just wish that these console developers that are making these farming sim games would start to think outside the box and give us something a little bit different, because every one of these games is substantially the same as one another. Sure, with Rune Factory you get a little bit of combat, great, but you know, they need more missions. Like, for example, the only way that I get any missions in this game is if I go all the way into town, go to the town hall, go to the bulletin board, and there's 2 or 3 things that townspeople are looking for, and I can fulfill those orders. But if you take the mission system and ramp it up to the point where you can't even really do them all because there's so many, and as soon as you finish another one drops down on your menu, and it's you know, sell 5 turnips, and then as soon as you complete that, there's another mission, and there's like maybe 3 or 4 missions listed down the side of your screen, and as you fulfill them just by selling them in your bin or whatever. You don't have to go to town and go talk to a townsperson or something. You know, having that kind of mechanic of that fast-paced, interactive stuff, and having the idle mechanics where I can walk away and come back and my crops are grown. And the timing, too. Like, for example, most of the crops in this game take anywhere from 4 to 7 in-game days to grow, which is just too long. Like, you only have 28 days per season in this game. And if it takes 7 days for your crop to grow, you're only getting a maximum of 4 crops, because at the end of every season, whatever crops you have planted wither and you lose them. So, you know, having that 5, 6, 7 day waiting period, which is 5 or 6 or 7 times of actually going into the game and playing a day before you actually get a crop, is really kind of annoying. You plant something, you play a 20-minute day, you turn it off. You come back maybe later at night, you play another 20-minute day, so maybe you knock off 2 days per real-life day, and it takes you like 3 days to get 1 crop grown. And sure, you get a fair bit of money and stuff, but I would really wish for more of a sense of urgency in these games. You know, a drive to come back into the game, not just once a day, but 3 or 4 times a day, because every 3 or 4 real-time hours you've got a crop ready to harvest, or you've got a cow that's ready to milk, or whatever, you know. That's what's missing in these games. Anyways, guys, sorry for my rant, but I really care about this. I really love the farming genre. I just wish it would get a little bit better on consoles. This game is really top-notch when compared to other farming games, but it still could get a whole lot better. Let me know in the comments what you think about farming games in general, whether you've played a Story of Seasons game. I recently played Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town, which I picked up last year. It was definitely good, but not as good as this one. This one is definitely better than Friends of Mineral Town. It's more engaging than most of the Rune Factory series, although the Rune Factory series has excellent stories, and it does have combat, so maybe if you're looking for something that's more of a hybrid, this might be something that's more for you. But anyways, guys, thanks for sticking around, thanks for subscribing, see you in the next video. Stay classy.